Right now, a lot of people want the results of energy and infrastructure projects to come online, but they do not want to touch the policy and coalition work it takes to actually move these projects, secure supply chains, and meet resiliency needs. That gap is where veterans can bring real value if they know how to step in. If you've ever wondered how a veteran can end up in energy policy in DC without being a lifelong policy wonk, this one's for you. Welcome to the Project Vanguard podcast, home of the community of veterans in energy, where we explore the journeys of veterans leading in energy. We're building American energy dominance through an all-the-above approach, where energy security is national security. And our mission is to double the number of veterans working in the energy industry. I'm your host, Kevin Doffin. Today's guest is Michael Dunn, an Army veteran who took a hard left turn from dropping out of college and having to enlist in the Army for the GI Bill so he could finish school, then grinding his way through Georgetown for an MBA, and finally moving on to BCG Consulting, following which he was able to start working in corporate affairs at Qcells, a solar panel manufacturer, as the senior manager of market intelligence and policy analysis. In this episode, we talk about what it looks like to build credibility in a new industry when you do not have a decade in that seat yet. We get into Mike's yes season, speaking at conferences, and joining fellowships in his professional career, like the Clean Energy Leadership Institute, the Atlantic Council, and of course, Project Vanguard, putting real points on the board for his career. We also dig into why policy is a necessary evil, whether you like it or not, how coalition building is basically networking with the lights on, and why speed and cost still matter when the mission is resilience and energy security. You'll walk away with a clear approach for how to enter the industry, find your career path, and use the Project Vanguard community we've built to earn a screening call and then get the job you wanted on your own. Let's get into it. Mike Dunn, thanks for joining us today, man.
Happy to be here, man.
Awesome. So for everybody who's just getting to meet Mike, Mike is one of our best volunteers. He applies a system to life that I have also employed, but I'm trying to slow down a little bit later in my career now, is just say yes.
100%.
Mike, what have you said yes to in the last year or so alone in this industry?
Oh, man. We'll get into it, but I recently, over the last year and a half, started a job. Like, this is my first foray directly into clean energy. And just as a matter of getting my brand out there, I've had the opportunity to speak at 3 different conferences, and they're always nerve-wracking because I'm not the foremost leading expert in everything I discuss, but I can get pretty close or at least expand on what I know. Had the opportunity to do a CELI fellowship, which has been pretty great. We can talk about the Atlantic Council fellowship that you spoke about.
What does CELI stand for?
Clean Energy Leadership Institute. It's more of a progressive approach to energy equity and making sure that people aren't left out of this equation when we start thinking about the energy demand and rates and all those things. So it's a really cool program that I say everybody should at least take a look at. So yeah, I'm all about saying that.
Yeah, it's great for young professionals, right?
Yeah, so it is early to mid professional situation. There is an application process, but anybody that contacts me, I'm happy to go drill in. For us, it was a Wednesday every week in class, formal education. And I really took advantage of it to meet people in the space where I am and just kind of keep growing the mission.
Were you they have like a national cohort versus like local ones, right?
So I was in the DC cohort, the DC in person. So
Okay.
I was at the CIA headquarters every Wednesday for 3 months.
Okay. Is it only 3 months long?
Yeah, I think it runs September and your final capstone is in December.
Oh, nice. Okay. I thought it was a year long.
No. That's Atlantic Council.
Yeah.
And Project Vanguard.
Project Vanguard. I know. Lots of fellowships. Well, that's what I was thinking that we were going to end up doing with the Project Vanguard fellowship was more of like a CELI young professional. And I kept telling people, I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this thing. And more senior people kept wanting to do it. And I was like, I mean, you sold a business, you're running a business, you're a director, you're a SVP. And they're like, am I not allowed to? I'm like, no, I mean, yeah, do it. And we end up with a heavier weighted bell curve to the right on age and like tenure
Yeah,
in the industry. We still have some young professionals. At this point, I would consider you a little bit more mid-career, but
that hurts.
well, I mean, listen, you're getting old.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah. No,
You
I
can
know.
grow a mustache as much as you want to look younger, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, so Mike, back up. Tell everybody what you're doing, where you're doing it right now.
Yeah. So through many wrong turns and right turns, I'm at Qcells. Qcells is pretty much an end-to-end provider for solar and energy solutions, but we make our bread and butter in being the largest polysilicon manufacturer of solar panels in the US. Our whole mission has been to reshore the supply chain. It currently sits a lot in China, Southeast Asia, and like the mission here is really to grow it at home. And so I work in DC in our corporate affairs office. My title is Senior Manager of Market Intelligence and Policy Analysis. I can say I am not a policy wonk by trade. I do like the title because I think it opens doors. Because if I want to stay in this area, a lot of things do run through policy. But beyond that, no matter where you are in the industry, policy will affect you because whatever comes out of Congress or whatever comes out of the administration will ultimately affect the direction of the country. So a lot of our conversations internally in my job is shaping and understanding that market and creating that strategy for key leaders internally.
Well, I got to say too, when we were looking at chapters we wanted to start, I wanted a DC chapter for the exact reason you filled in amazingly is I really don't want to go to DC. I mean, there's great people there, but I also fully understand and can relate to what you just said. I never wanted to do anything relating to policy or politics.
Yeah.
And the last year of getting involved in advocacy has really just been like bumping my head into, I guess we need to get involved. Well, that's a problem. We really need to talk to someone about that. Well, that's
Yeah.
the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We better go talk to that person about what they're not knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil, which is where we're at now. But I appreciate that you're there. Can you talk a little bit about the Advanced Energy United conference? Because you went and spoke at that in December for us.
Right, right. So that was one of the 3 speaking opportunities I've had in, like, the last year, and every time I get the opportunity, I'm kinda like, "Are you sure?"
I know. That's why that was your response. I'm like, Mike, you want to do this? You're like, are you sure you want me to do this? I'm like, Mike, are you available or not?
That's just on imposter syndrome, and we will all get past it, or we won't, or we will just deal with it. My girlfriend's a therapist, I've heard it. But yeah, is the Advanced Energy United Leadership Forum. It happened last month. It was a really cool opportunity, and thanks, Kevin, for thinking about me just to really dissect coalition building and what that looks like. And so it was about 4 of us on the stage, and a lot of them, 2 were lobbyists, and 1 was an internal lawyer to a utility. And I think our pitch or our side of the message was really important to be there. It really comes through that, like, we have an opportunity to drive home a message in a world where clean energy is not first and foremost in the minds of the administration or the Congress. At the end of the day, obviously, nuclear is awesome. Geothermal is cool if you can get the costs down. If you can get these timelines on gas turbines, that's awesome. But a lot of these renewables are fast and cheap, and that's what we're looking for. And I think that's a really powerful cutting mechanism when we have these conversations, and who else to deliver it than like a trusted source. And so I really did appreciate the opportunity to be like, look, Project Vanguard is just a repository of vets that can advocate on your behalf to kind of cut through some of that minutia. When I'm speaking at work on the other side of this, it's really been an opportunity to be like, hey, why don't I go speak with the DoD, DOW, and just have this conversation and be like, hey, this is what we're looking at. This is how we can help you meet your resiliency needs. This is how we can really discuss getting power when it's really needed and being detached from like a grid. So it was a cool opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a buddy, assistant secretary of one of the branches, right?
Yep.
And, a guy gets on the phone and he's like, listen, I'm not a climate evangelist, but I also know it's real. I'm like, cool. And that was the last time we talked about it, right? And we're just talking about other stuff. He'd run for an office, he's now in the administration as a political appointee. And we're just chatting about life and business and everything else that kind of just goes on. And I mean, like we'll slip a few 4-letter words in there every once in a while, maybe a little reference to a combat mission. And then, I mean, it's just easy going.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that I think to what you said on coalition building. That was a new word to me this year.
Yeah.
How do you define that?
I was pondering that too when I was prepping for this. It's exactly what you do innately with Project Vanguard and what you do with meeting individuals. So when you had your Texas tour, getting landowners on board, getting local officials on board, bringing vets to speak at those meetings for permitting, and just really bringing the companies like we did with Qcells. It really is just opportunity to get everybody on the same page, and I think that's what coalition building is. I'm sure there's a fancier meeting when you bring together nonprofits and the stakeholders and officials, but I think it's anytime you can get people on the same page in the same room talking about where interest overlap.
Yeah, no, I mean, when they told me about it, and thank you for the compliment. Somebody else was like, "You're good at coalition building." I'm like, "I think I'm just good at networking."
And there it is.
I feel like we're making different words for the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't church it up, dirt. And sales is just networking or business development.
Mhm.
When I was running veteran nonprofits, health and human service stuff, it was community building. And then apparently in the advocacy space, it's coalition building. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is it so weird to just bring people together and then make them feel like they're a part of something and help them do something for their own benefit?
Right. Right.
It seems pretty common sense to me. I don't know. But I've also met some lobbyists now, and I'm like, wow, so you have zero tie in to the people you're either advocating for or against, or the people you come from. I'm like, this is a very weird thing. The whole advocacy space is like some of the worst sales meetings I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it could use a little bit of a shine. Yeah, ultimately, it really is just trying to get everybody on the same page, and I mean, that's what Vanguard does, and that's what I tried to do a little bit different from, like, a company perspective, but there's always opportunities.
Yeah. So I want to come back to the Atlanta Council in a bit, but
Yeah.
how did you get into all of this? How did you go into the military? What was the decision? Like one buddy of mine, Ben, wanted to have the t-shirt, literally.
Yeah. I didn't want the T-shirt. I think the PT T-shirts at the time were very ugly. Now it's just a different color. So, it's a bit of a interesting story. Out of high school, back in the Lord's year 2010, so I am old. I went to the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and was having a good old time. Wasn't particularly like an apt student, but like I had a opportunity to be there. And very quickly you learn school costs money. And I think the way that I was raised was just no matter what if you get into the school, we're gonna figure it out, we're gonna get through it. And I think we kind of hit that wall of realization where it's like it's not just all sunshine or rainbows if you want to go to school. It's really expensive and it's really a 4-year process that you have to stick behind. And so I actually ended up dropping out of school because I just couldn't afford it. I got into this weird hole where I kinda had a lapse in payment, and so I couldn't pay for tuition to get enrolled, and I couldn't get enrolled to get a loan, so it just either you come up with this cash or nothing happens, and I was really in a tough place, and for about a year and a half, I worked cleaning pools or waiting tables or whatever have you, and I really just kinda hit my breaking point, and I went to an Army recruiter, and I was like, "Hey, I heard this GI Bill thing's a thing. Is it?" He's like, "Yep." And he started talking about all these things. And I was like, "I don't need all the rest of this. Is the school thing a thing?" He's like, "Yep." I'm like, "All right, cool. Where's the papers?" And 10 days later, I was on a bus to Fort Benning. I did 3.5 years active.
That recruiter saw you coming and just started salivating.
Yeah, I was like, "We gotta get this done quickly or I will not do it." And honestly, I think it's probably the best decision I've ever made. Not because it was just super fun all the time. I just like am super patriotic. It really gave me the opportunity, and I don't wanna get off on a tangent, but, like, for everybody knows, it just gives you so much leadership and a house, a degree, and responsibility, and all these things, and for me, it gave school, so I had the opportunity where I had some credits, and I knew when I was gonna get out that I needed to figure out how to go back.
Hey, real quick, before you go further,
Yeah.
this is an idea I've always had. And I mean, you're kind of painting it. The military just seems like the greatest social mobility tool
Yeah.
in American history. You just need to be healthy enough to get in,
Yeah.
and then they feed you, take care of you, and develop you. And then there's other resources after, like you're mentioning.
Oh my god, yeah.
Have you ever thought of that?
All the time. I think it's really funny. I have a lot of folks that I've met, and especially, like, it is a very socialist construct when you think about it.
Oh, no, I say it all the time. It's the biggest socialist institution.
Just state-owned healthcare, housing, food, education, childcare, job,
Uh-huh.
everything. Everybody gets paid the same, and it's just like, "Huh, okay." It's like it is a
It's not a meritocracy. You and I get paid based on whenever we got in and
yeah.
whatever our current rank is, which is usually dictated by how long have you been in.
Yeah, it is an interesting experiment, and again, it was just so helpful for me. I had a NCL very early on, and he was homeless before he started, and all those things we just said, he had come up with, like, a house and a wife and kids and 2 degrees, and he's putting his kids through and all these things. It's just like, it really was an incredible opportunity. It's kinda built the middle class for certain groups in the '50s post World War II.
Yeah. I mean, it's generational wealth for that guy, right? He had nothing.
Yeah.
And his kids will have, at the very least, something.
Yeah, it is a great social mover. I've read some books on the topic, especially post World War II. I mean, it wasn't like fully perfectly equitable situation, but now there's opportunities for people like me to take advantage of it, and I can assure you I did. So I got into this opportunity where they gave me a financial advisor. Now I remember my credit score had gotten dinged up because of the payments to the school, and like I couldn't, like, everything was all over the place. And I had this woman, and God bless her, she walked me through and we started to put together a plan. She reached out to the school on my behalf. We got a repayment plan. I was allowed to get my transcripts. Getting those transcripts let me use tuition assistance instead of the GI Bill whilst in. So I took classes to make sure that I had enough credits that would transfer back to the University of Alabama so I could get through the program as quickly as possible. And lo and behold, at least 12 credits transferred directly. And I think I ended up with an associate's degree that I never talk about. But from there, I got out. Tuition assistance is obviously, I think, important to note that, like, there are a lot of opportunities within the military, but you have to take advantage of them. I was in Romania for a month and I asked my NCOIC to work night shift so I could use the computer and email my paper to a professor in Maryland or something so that I could pass this one class and then come back. It was a process, but I think anybody could do it. It's right there for you.
Well, it's a choose your own adventure. You can also choose to do nothing with those opportunities.
It's very easy and almost tempting. Like, why am I'm getting paid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that.
And there's no shade to anybody that wants to do that because it is a really cool opportunity and you're gonna see career advancement no matter what. It was just the path that I picked. I knew that I was in this for a means to an end. I wanted them to pay for school, and they were doing that. So I had the opportunity to take those credits, go back to the University of Alabama so that I could move as quickly as possible. And I did that. I went back to school for 2 years, joined the National Guard because they had a recruiter and said, "Hey, do you want healthcare?" And I was like, "Yeah, I forgot that that was a thing," and got that. And once I was kinda getting towards the end of my time there, earlier on, I was Googling what majors make money. I had no idea where to start. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was engineer, economics, engineer, finance. I mean, I can muscle my way through some math. Like, I'm not gonna get an A, but, like, C's get degrees. And so I did that, and I figured I was like, well, I really kind of backed my way into, like, a really good situation where, like, you get 4 years of GI Bill, and so I only used 2 of them when I was back in undergrad. 2 years isn't really good enough to shift over to my kids. I might as well make the movement now that would set me up to be able to help them in the future. I don't have kids, just thinking ahead. But I was like, "Okay, cool. I guess what's the natural progression here?" I've heard of business school, and I knew nothing. So I just started internet sleuthing, figuring out, "Oh, I have to take a GMAT. Oh, I could take a GRE here. What schools are good? What schools could I even get into?" My pre-army GPA, not great. It's just like, "All right, what can I do? Work hard." And, I finally kinda got it down to some of the, like, schools like Georgia Tech or Vanderbilt or Georgetown or so on. And I really wanted to be in a city that I liked. And I had been to DC once. I had a great time. Every time I was in the military, I was in tiny town up in Fort Drum And then I was in tiny town in Tuscaloosa. I was like, I just need to see people. And so I applied to Georgetown's MBA program, got in, and had an amazing experience. Again, happy to talk about that with anybody who's interested. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of vets in business school or probably grad schools writ large, it's just what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? Consulting offers you that opportunity, says you can move around from project to project and industry to industry. And so I did an internship with Deloitte that was good, but it was with the government sector. And I'm kind of tired of doing straight federal things.
And now you're trying to get back in with Qcells on it.
Yeah, don't remind me. And I just I made my way and I was like, all right, cool. Let's look at a more commercial focused lens. And I ended up at BCG and I had a mentor there. He was part of the energy practice and he pulled me onto a lot of projects. And when I was getting ready to separate, I was just, what do I want to do? I came up with a very consultancy way. I came up with a framework. I was like, I need to be compensated. I need to be in a job that I'm just not stuck behind a desk all day. I want to do something that's at least semi mission oriented. I don't want to go sell cigarettes to babies, but I just needed to figure out that thing. And clean energy really gave me the opportunity. It's like, I don't always think of myself as a bleeding heart, conservationist or anything like that, but I do acknowledge certain truths. And for me, it's like, how can I be a part of that solution? And right now, I think I'm moving towards how it interacts with the largest procurer of energy, the DoD, DoW. How can newer technologies play into that framework? And so I'm really just kind of looking that area now. So that was a long-winded way of saying kind of luck.
No, 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 man, I get it. I get it completely. I mean, what you described is I do some executive coaching, and that's one of the things I teach is a military decision-making process for,
Yeah.
these career changes, these inflection points. What's your decision-making criteria? What are the objectives of the mission? No point in saying mission accomplished, and then it's like, "Oh, but yeah, we screwed up everything that we meant to do." Oh, doesn't sound like mission was accomplished then.
100%. Whenever I talk to folks, it really does enter where do you want to end up and then just start working backwards. When I talk to MBAs, it's like, first things first, I promise you, where do you want to live? You'd be surprised how important that is to you, your decision. What does your family want to do? You can think about everything and apply everywhere, but you got to optimize for sustainability.
So, now that you're in DC,
Sure.
and I wanna spend a little bit of time on the Atlantic Council. I think when we first met, I was still the director
Yeah.
for the program for the energy and defense practice, and now, we've taken the Veterans Advanced Energy Project and the fellowship and the summit and really rolled it in
Yeah.
under the Global Energy Center at the Atlantic Council into this energy and defense practice, which I love. Talk a little bit about yet another fellowship, and what have you kinda seen now that y'all have had the kickoff?
Yeah. So again, for me, the issue that I think I ran into, and this is full candor, post military or post education, when I started leaving the Boston Consulting Group, it was like, who is going to take me? I wasn't an officer, so I was like, I can't put I've read many officer resumes as a peer advisor, was in charge of 200 people, wasn't blah, blah, blah. And by comparison to my civilian counterparts, it was just like they've had these 5 years of opportunity to build rapport and experience and expertise. And so when I got to where I am now, and I've only been directly in clean energy for a year and a half. So I have taken on that yes persona because I want the exposure. I want people to know who I am. I want people to trust me. I want to build those bona fides because I do feel competent in the space, but I don't have the years of experience. So I say yes to things like the Atlantic Council because it's in line with where I see my career going. And it gives me an opportunity to put my talents on display. I mean, it's really hard to showcase in a very short amount of time that you are competent. So when you're switching, I say, fill the board, do everything. Make sure that they know who you are and that you can do the job. So Atlanta Council is just another opportunity.
No, I mean, I think you're gonna flip a switch at a certain point in your career or just the phase that you're in this career stage.
Yeah.
When you're in the discovery, building your career, you gotta say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Once you've this is my thing. This is what I need to go deep on. Then you start saying no to everything that isn't that thing. You're probably a year or two from that, and then you're gonna get really heavy into, like, I imagine you're gonna be texting me, "How do I tell this person no to this amazing opportunity that I know I wanna do, but I shouldn't do?"
Well, yeah. You let me know when we get there, because it's not yet.
I will. I'll keep an eye on you. No, you're not there yet. You're good. You're good right now. So what do you wanna what do you think you'll be working on in your team? Now that we have these groups
Yeah.
kind of broken out as like 2 different fire teams that go after these really thorny problems. Last year, we were talking about on-base power procurement and how do military bases kind of deal with deregulating and just all these different utility aspects of powering and microgridding.
Yeah.
And then we were talking interoperability for the force on a projected basis. So, like, 2 very different things, but very intrinsically linking force capabilities to energy. Do you have any idea on what you'd like to do, or have they talked about topics yet?
Yeah, we've just begun drilling down on those. I think the first option is really to, like, build off of the themes that the previous 2 teams did last year, and taking a look at NATO, how do they manage their directives? I think there's, like, a 1.5% budgetary requirement to spend on resiliency. It's like, what does that actually tangibly look like? And then I think it is taking a look at, like, what energy and how energy relates to national security, but in a way for, like, OCONUS installations. Like, what does it look like? That plays more into that interoperability. If everybody in Europe is having competing goals and you set yourself up for one thing, you convoy to another, how does that actually play with your mission planning? So I'm really excited about that opportunity. I think it's growing, but there's a very clear conversation around energy as national security, whether it comes from like inverters or taking a look at where we're getting our energy from, for an entity of concern just shut off the pipeline.
I mean,
Yeah.
Venezuela, Greenland. I mean, like, there's some pretty pressing concerns right now in energy security.
Yeah, and it's growing. Who better to, like, talk or speak on that than the folks that have directly interacted with it? So, again, it's just, like, another opportunity. Atlanta Council seems really cool. A lot of the people have been super supportive and super welcoming, and everybody that I've met has been just wildly impressive. So, a little bit more of that, imposter syndrome creep. I'm not sure it ever goes away, but I try to stow it.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Just do what I do. When someone pays you a compliment, you talk them out of it in your head, and then you just smile and nod, but it's not real.
I don't think that's the clinical answer.
Well, your girlfriend may think different, but I'll tell you that's how I get through the day.
We'll take it.
Well, so as we're talking about this and we begin to wrap up,
Yeah.
what's your advice for veterans that are either looking to get into this industry or those that are just, looking at what else can I do that maybe haven't ever heard of somebody doing, the markets and policy work that you're doing?
Yeah, I think when it comes to transitioning into the space, I do think it helps to really be well read and just have a pretty broad understanding of the dynamics that are happening. I would say step 2 of that is to pick a focus area. I mean, there's just different technology types, whether it's solar, whether it's wind, geothermal, nuclear, whatever.
Mhm.
And then within that, there's gonna be just like an entire function gap of just, I'm gonna do development. Am I gonna work more directly with policy? Am I going to do the EPC piece of it? Am I gonna do project finance? There's just so many opportunities to interact with it. So on the early side, make sure that you have like a full understanding. And then I know it's not always optimal, but yeah, say yes to things. Do meet people, take those conversations, go to those conferences, interact with Project Vanguard, try a fellowship, whatever you can do to kind of build your resume, because a lot of times employers are looking at what have you done. It's so much easier just to promote somebody that's already done the job than to go outside. So you really have to build up your resume to be like, hey, I know I haven't directly done this job, but I can. And I think for folks that are already at that point that we were talking about where you don't want to have to say yes to everything, there really isn't just like an opportunity to like hone in on your focus area, still take those calls. I think an interesting piece of being a consultant, everybody was always still looking for a new job. Even the partners that are making millions of dollars a year were just like, every 2 years, I like to check in just to make sure that I still like what I'm doing. And if you don't, then change it. There's no one's holding a gun to your head. So one of my favorite mindsets is just you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. That's what I try to do. And I think that can just work for everybody.
No, I love that. So if you were new to Project Vanguard today,
Yeah.
how would you approach it to get the most out of it?
Well, I mean, initially join the Slack. I can't remember who set it up, but genius. You can separate it to
Ginger.
Ginger. Yeah. Shout out Ginger, because like that's a great idea. You can break it into different subgroups. If you're looking for a job, if you're just interested in talking to people that might have a shared background, I think that's a really good opportunity just to like interact. I was talking to your friend Jonathan Munkin not too long ago, and he is a wise, wise man. Crazy stories, just so smart.
Kind of a D, but yeah, all right, I'll take it. Yeah, each their own.
I like him. The best way to get good at one thing is just to take on one project or take on one passion area and grow in that. So, like, you could apply that to Project Vanguard and be like, okay, cool. I want to do a community leadership role, or and maybe there isn't one, or maybe there isn't one where you are at. Take that on. It's not going to be the end of the world in terms of workload outside of your regular day to day, but you'll feel a sense of responsibility, something you've kind of touched on. It'll give you more exposure. It'll give you the opportunity to interact with people that are more active in the space. And I think it's just been like a really cool opportunity. So, like, you really just play to whatever works for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, for the community leader stuff, since we're not really doing like a CELI state-based whatever, we have priority states we're focusing on each year.
Sure.
But I mean, like, we've got a bunch of members in California and Colorado, not places that we're really that worried about convincing people to like all forms of energy. So they're more focused on networking, workforce development, thought leadership.
Yeah.
There's something to do. I mean, Will Friedel with Prometheus Wind, great O&M provider, veteran owned. I always got to pitch my guys. He represented us last week at the National Convention for the Student Veterans of America.
Sure.
So making sure that like a lot of these schools know, hey, this is a really great career path. If you don't know anyone who works in it, because it's still ascendant, I do, and I can connect you with over 1,000 people in the industry that are part of this group
Sure.
and provide peer mentoring and access. And there's other groups like Center for Energy Workforce Development, Veterans in Energy. They're really focused on utilities
Yeah.
and really workforce development and doing educational webinars. But we're the, back to the earlier topic, coalition builder
Yeah.
for Veterans in Energy. And this is the community you can plug in and meet the people you want to. Slack's a great way, but also tons of events, like different conferences, local happy hours,
Sure.
these podcasts, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, it's getting the message out about people that already work in the industry like you.
Yeah.
And that builds the networking, helps educate people. The networking leads to more jobs. And as we build the bench lets us mobilize them for showing up, speaking up, advocating for the industry. And that's more messaging. And then it just keeps going in a virtuous cycle of growth.
Yeah, it's a very welcoming community. I think it can be not confusing, but like, at least from my perspective, I had no idea what I actually wanted to do post military, and I wasn't in for like 25 years. It's just a matter of, yeah, I mean, the real world kind of comes at you quickly. And at minimum, this would be a pretty good opportunity for like fact finding, just to like test the waters. I think if you reach out to anybody in that group, people will unilaterally just give you 30 minutes in chat. So like you're not going to find that cold emailing, cold LinkedIning anywhere else. So like why not take advantage of Vanguard?
Yeah, I was trying to tell people we help people get jobs, but that's not what we're trying to promise. We're trying to help you get a screening call,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey, I'm interested in Qcells. Oh, you need to meet Mike. And if Mike doesn't think you're an asshole, Mike will tap HR on the shoulder and be like, hey, she's good. You should move her to the top of the stack. And then you get a call. But from there, it's your choose your own adventure. It's your job to shine. And the bar goes up
Yeah.
because we recommend you not down. So step up, do the right thing. And, a lot of people get jobs that way, but it's hard to get that initial screening call sometimes if you're just throwing emails out into the void.
And I have.
I've been there too.
Especially from my perspective, if you reach out to me, you just got a 99% chance of me getting back with you. That 1%, I must just be having a bad day. I'll get back to you. Let's give it 100%. Hit me up.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Mike, Thanks for making the time today, man. I love the work that you're doing with us. I love what you're doing there in DC. Can't wait for what's next.
No, I mean, I appreciate you having me. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely around and always happy to chat with folks.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
Cool.
We'll be in touch soon.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Project Vanguard podcast. If this episode sparked something for you, share it with someone who's ready to think differently, whether it's about an all-the-above energy approach, how energy security is national security, or the veteran workforce in our industry. If you believe what we're building, a quick review goes a long way. You can do that wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, keep up the fire.